Welcome everybody to the podcast. Today I've got Andrew with me here, the founder of Billions and also the founder of Brighter PPC. Andrew, thank you so much for, coming on our podcast. You're actually going to be the first podcast episode that we release. So we're super
Awesome.
glad to have you.
Cool, Tyson. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely, man. So maybe we just start off, with you telling us a little bit about your experience. Obviously you've got extensive experience in real estate and that's kind of led you to start Billions and Brighter as well. So can you kind of walk me through like what your journey has been up to this point and kind of what caused you to start those startup companies?
Yeah, so I'll kind of start back at the beginning. Out of college, I did random jobs here and there, and I actually did a 7-year stint as a civilian at the Air Force at the Pentagon.
Oh, wow.
In between that time, I learned a lot about like systems, processes, and checklists because that's military, right?
Mm.
And then around 2013, this was around the time where like HGTV shows like Flip Your House and like Love It or List It, those kind of things came out, House Hunters. And I'd always kind of been an entrepreneur at heart, and I ran my own painting company during summers with my friend. And I lived with my middle school best friend, Dan, who's my partner on, all my ventures together. And he was in private finance, I was in government, and we're like, why don't we like do something together, right? Like start a business. So we tried to figure out what to do, and we're like, why not a real estate team? So we started a team at KW in Arlington, Virginia, on the East Coast. I worked dual kind of careers. I was doing real estate part time, government full time for about 2 years. So from 13 to 15. And then we kind of just had really good success and we built out a team. And then in 2015, I, left my job at the Air Force, and I never looked back. Kind of just stayed in real estate ever since. And then for the next, decade plus, we built a team together. And on that team, I was in charge of operations. So it was my job to build the tech stack, systems, processes, and sort of run, the day to day.
Uh-huh.
And kind of what happened was we were on all these different platforms like CRMs, customer relationship management tools. And as a team lead, as you grow and you do more business, little things start to take up a lot of time. So document management, date deadline management, appointment management, training, accountability, metrics, and the systems we were on, for lack of a better term, didn't quite do everything that I wanted it to do from a technology perspective, unless you wanted to add all these other third-party softwares, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be on the main platform and then say, hey, I want it to be able to do this. Well, it
Uh-huh.
doesn't do that. So get Zapier and then find a third-party tool. But then
Yeah.
I'd have to research the 5 third-party tools. Which one's the best? Which one talks to our foundation system the best? Who's going to develop it and integrate it? And then who's going to maintain it? And long story short, Tyson,
Uh-huh.
the last I'll call it a prototype
Uh-huh.
of what eventually turned into what Billions is now, was a pretty mainstream CRM, Zapier, and 8 other tools.
Wow.
And it was a nightmare to maintain. It was very expensive, and it was hard to get it to talk to each other in the exact way we wanted it to. So we kind of said, and this was after, being on 5, 6, 7 different platforms and kind of throwing away tech, right? Over 10 years, 10,
Wow.
11 years. So we said, hey, I think we could do this better. Let's
Uh-huh.
try to figure out how to build it ourselves. And then kind of just randomly started posting different reports and different things about it. And people would be like, what is that? How do I get it? And it wasn't scalable at that time. And then I figured out how to make it scalable. And now we fortunately get, my job now is to let people know about Billions. It's a real estate team operating system that teams across the United States are starting to use. We're a relatively new startup, but we offer a lot of kind of native built-in features that otherwise you'd have to kind of go all different directions and, piece it together yourself. That's kind of what Billions, where it came from and what it turned into.
Wow.
And then the brighter piece that Ian mentioned, kind of the same thing. We did Brighter PPC focuses on high intent seller leads. So some sense of urgency from a homeowner. They have to sell their home fast. They might not be able to list it, right? They don't
Yeah.
have time. They don't have money. They just need a quick sale. We run Google PPC ads for investors and wholesalers across the United States. This
Nice.
is a company that we kind of kicked off heavy, sales in November of last year, so relatively new, a handful of months now. But we're in 300 various locations across the United States,
Awesome.
helping just basically running a white glove Google Ads agency that delivers leads straight to people's inboxes.
That is no, that's super awesome, man. Yeah, I and so wow, you started all of these businesses with your business partner. Did you say from middle school? You guys have been friends all the way
Yeah,
since.
so we actually met in seventh grade. How old are you in seventh grade? Like 10?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
10 or 11, whatever. We've known each other for 20 plus years.
Wow.
Yeah, actually like 25, 30 plus years. I don't even know how old I am apparently.
Oh
But yeah,
wow.
we've been like really good friends, best friends for a while, but started all of this together. All kind of in this like real estate niche industry, right? Because
I
we
love
know
it.
it. We learned it, we lived it, and hopefully we can expedite people's, systems and processes from what we've learned over 20 plus years of combined real estate experience.
100%, man. For you guys to be in the game too for that long, like you kind of had to solve that problem of, building a solid foundation and like a tech stack and being able to lay out those automations and integrations to be able to scale your guys'
Right.
operations. A lot of, my clients on the marketing side of things in real estate, they struggle to, maybe they're not too tech savvy and they need an integrator on their team, and maybe I'm helping them with their marketing, and they want me to do a lot of the integrator kinds of tasks. I guess between you and your business partner, where would you consider one of the two of you more of like an integrator, or did you guys reach out to maybe like developers and other people who set up those kind of automations to help you guys, or was that all?
Yeah, good. That's a great question. So Dan was kind of like the strategic big ticket thinker, and
Oh,
he
wow.
ran sales. So sales team strategy, that kind of thing, conversions training. I
Nice.
was I guess I would be labeled as the integrator,
Okay.
but I'm not like a coder. I don't know how to code. I don't even know where to go to code. But I was just really, I would say, I started off really bad, but I would try to find a developer through, I think at the time, like, I don't know, Craigslist, if you remember that.
Oh,
And
wow.
now there's like Upwork and obviously different vehicles to find developers, but it's kind of just a trial and error thing. Like I put out an ad because I needed A, B, and C done. I need like this form to talk to this website or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you just interview. And honestly, you can do your best at interviewing, but at the end of the day, it's really just a 50-50 shot if they know what the hell they're doing or not.
Yeah.
So we went through, like self-admittedly, we went through a lot of developers to get to the what I consider my rock star all-star team right now that
Nice.
kind of oversees everything. But that came with a lot of stress, anxiety, time, sweat equity, and most importantly, money. I
Mm.
don't even want to mention how much money we've spent on some of this stuff where we just ultimately said, you know what, this isn't what we envisioned. This
Yeah.
person can't do what they wanted, that we wanted them to do. So we would throw it away. We were
Um,
in a position where we could afford to, and I'm not talking like millions and millions of dollars, but it was a substantial amount of money
wow.
where it was just trial and error. And then eventually we get to the point that said, okay, well, this person's tapped out in their ability. We need to find somebody else. So
Wow.
it's just kind of been I mean, this is true in life, right? With anything you do, like you got a gardener, is he good? Who knows? Okay, you find out he's bad. You got to kind of move on. So we did this with kind of our two fronts here. Number one, with Billions and the development team that we had, and
Mhm.
then Brighter PPC was we tried to hire people who knew PPC, and we hired the big names in the industry,
Nice.
spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to get those, and then they ultimately didn't work. And then we did the same thing and said, we think we could do this better. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out that, and then we put our team together, and it's been working out pretty well so far.
Nice.
Knock on wood. But it's just like you got to test people. You got to make sure that you work well together. You got
Yeah.
to make sure that they can produce ultimately.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with your company, Brighter, you guys are obviously solving lead problems for wholesalers, investors, which is like usually that first bottleneck that you run into to be able to generate consistent flow for your business. But, for billions, there's a lot of different kinds of, CRMs like, Monday, Go High Level, and they do a lot of different things, especially when you have somebody in there kind of, running it for your real estate team. But for billions, what would you say are the top three automations or integrations that help, real estate teams be more efficient? Maybe they're saving time or saving money, or, how is it helping them scale? What would you say would be your top three?
Right. I'll kind of before I answer that, I kind of just like to zoom out a little bit and
Mm,
explain why people are, drawn to billions, especially teams.
mhm.
And I think the biggest thing is there, you just mentioned like a couple competitors, right? There are a lot of other ones, but when you get them, whichever one you're on, it's like the base model, right? And it can do all this stuff, but it's not really like put together yet.
Right.
For billions, we built a team, we ran a team, and we built a tech stack for a team. That's what you're getting from day one. You don't have to go in and build out the framework, build out the architecture, build out the integrations,
Mm,
the automations. What I always tell people is we give you a 95% team solution out of the box, where if the Tyson team wanted it tomorrow, you could have it.
wow.
Obviously, you can make customizations and that would require some build, but you don't have to. It would probably be suitable for you, at least at the very start from day one. And then you take it the 5% to say, hey, this is awesome. The framework already is there. We don't have to really go through a start from scratch build out or find solutions like other solutions to integrate.
Mm,
But billions, it would be cool if it did A, B, and C. Can you do that? And then
uh,
we'd be like, yes. What? Let us understand it. And then, is this what you mean? You kind of tell us the end resolve, and then we put a plan in place to get you there the most economical, efficient way possible. And that's where kind of people take billions to the next level and saying, all right, we won because now we have this system built out, but now we can take it to almost limitless potential.
yeah.
One of the reasons why, Tyson, is because we're built on the back end of Salesforce.
Ah,
So Salesforce is 300. I checked the stock price yesterday, so this might not be accurate today, but it was
uh,
as of yesterday, it was a 330 something billion-dollar company.
yeah.
And we're built on top of that. So we get to take advantage of all the resources at their disposal and all the efficiencies. And it allows people to customize how they see fit and how they want. So that's number one. Number two, Tyson, is on average, our customers can get rid of 3 to 4 third party softwares. So if
Right.
you come to us with the Tyson team, I'll say, hey, walk me through your tech stack. What issues are you having? And you say, well, it's hard to tab hop and maintain all this. I'll be like, cool, get rid of those three.
Yeah.
Get rid of your CRM. Billions can do all of that natively already. It's already built, right? The biggest thing, Tyson,
Uh-huh.
is a CRM plus a data and analytics package. So a lot of people come to us with both,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, we've been at it for 3 months, 6 months, trying to get it to talk to each other, but it can't do what we want it. We are like, cool, you can replace both of those with billions.
Hmm.
Billions comes with a built-in analytics package for free, native. It's already built with 135 different reports
Wow.
organized into 8 different dashboards that have to do with marketing, money, people, um, leaderboard, competition, that kind of thing. And you never have to update a report ever. The way our system's set up, you follow a basic like pathway, and
Uh-huh.
then all reports update in real time for you. So that's a big draw.
Awesome.
And one of the things that we're trying to ultimately do, Tyson, is
Uh,
educate real estate team owners from a business perspective that they need to raise their corporate IQ by making data-driven decisions. A lot of people, if you believe it or not, as I peel back the onion with conversations that I have with team leaders or owners, I'm like, tell me about the data. What are you getting? They're like, well, we have a spreadsheet. Well, we have a whiteboard. Well, I don't know. I'm like, well, what if you knew when you hired an appointment setter within a month how much money they were bringing in, how many appointments they set, how many calls they were making without having to lift a finger.
Right.
And they're like, wow, how? And I'm like, let me just show you. So those are like the big high level features that a lot of people like. And I think that's why we're attractive to team owners.
100%. Yeah, and that's definitely on the real estate side of things. But for me and my marketing company, I often get handed like CRM systems and all of these other third-party softwares that they want to integrate together. And you're right. It's like there's just so many different intricate things, or they provide dashboards like your go high levels, but then they don't actually update, or the
Yeah.
reports and the performance don't actually up. You have to go in there and manually oftentimes fix things and move people through the pipeline. So that is
Yeah.
definitely, and then tracking data too is huge as well. I've noticed the majority of the companies that I work with, even one of the biggest companies I work with was doing $80 million a year in annual reoccurring revenue, and they weren't tracking any of their marketing data or their spending multiple millions of dollars a month,
That's crazy.
not
Here's
tracking
what I
any.
would say for like a scenario like that. If you're doing $80 million in annual recurring revenue blind, can you be doing 500 million
Right,
if
exactly.
you actually tracked your data? And
Right,
that's what we kind of our messaging is we're trying to get out to the world about billions is like you're spending all this money on your leads.
right,
Do you know how much money you're spending? Number one, and then do you know how much money they're bringing in? So in billions, if let's talk about like Google PPC, right? You spend 10 grand a month on Google PPC, leads start to come in automatically in billions. You work them all the way through close, and you're basically telling the system how much it made. There's a report that will say, here are all your individual lead sources by how much revenue they brought in gross, how much per average deal from PPC you're getting,
wow,
what's the cumulative net revenue. And the same with people. It also tracks the ROI of people that you pay salaries to do certain things. So just every aspect. And if you knew that every day in real time versus at the end of the year, oh, who did what, you're starting to collect all this info. This is like what I was doing in 2015, 2016, 2017, when my real estate coach would say, how many leads did you get
mhm,
by source? How many of those turned to appointments? How many were held versus not held? How many converted to an agreement, a pending, a close? How much revenue got brought in? And then how much net? And I was like, dude, I have no clue. And my data would always just be made up, I think.
yeah,
Like, I'd be like, send me this, text me that, do this. And it was just everywhere. But
right,
now it's just like, what do you want to know, Tyson? Cool. I'll go to this dashboard. Here it is by quarter. You want to know it by annual? Cool. Edit, annual, click, boom. Here it is by annual. So you're just manipulating the data at that point to show it exactly how you need to see it, but it's there. It exists. We collect it.
right. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool to be able to see that and have that there. But what do you think like the impact is for real estate teams and just companies in general who don't have more of a data driven approach, or they kind of like not necessarily make it up, but they're not 100% sure on their numbers. Like how do you think that impacts them actually being able to scale their team?
I mean, I think it makes a tremendous impact on being able to scale. How can you scale and fix stuff or put a fence around the stuff that's working if you don't really have a confident idea of what's working and what's not, right? And like I said before, we talked to a lot of teams that are like, I did 100 million in volume this year. I'm like, cool, where'd your last 10 deals come from? And they're like, I have no idea. I was like, what if you did know that instantaneously? And we take it a step further. We not only collect all this in real time, so you
Uh-huh.
don't have to ever manually update a report, but reports get spotlit for you or emailed to you
Wow.
automatically. So when I was in sales using this platform, I had unassigned appointment reports sent to me every day at 7 p.m. and post appointment form or outcome form report sent to me because that's what I wanted, right? Like we would set appointments and then in billions you officially assign it to someone. And we had a report when it was set but not given to an agent. So like it's set, they're waiting for you to come over on Friday, but not a single agent on the team knows of it because
Mhm.
we haven't officially given it. But then the same was true for like I was always excited when we set appointments because I was excited when we had the potential to have a new client, right? And a new family to help. But then like an agent on the team would go on 5 appointments in the week. And the first one I really wanted to know about was a $5 million house, but I never heard what happened. And
Uh,
I was like, well, if I didn't remember that, was the agent even going to tell me? Like, I have no idea. Maybe, hopefully. Or he had told Dan on the phone and I wasn't privy to that. Well,
mhm.
now, and that was like one of the little nuanced automations I came up with is like, tell me when Tyson goes on an appointment and he doesn't report back what happens. So it
Uh,
spotlights it and says, hey, hey, Billions, or hey, Andrew, the team leader, Tyson owes you two outcome reports for this appointment and that appointment. And a
nice.
rule on our team was, Tyson, you're not getting another single appointment unless you fill in these two forms.
Mm.
And then on top of that, so we have a report that would show us that proactively, right? And we had a lead manager who would monitor what was called a zero dashboard. If
Uh-huh.
any of the reports on that dashboard were populated with a number, it meant someone on the team isn't doing their job. Like Tyson submitting a post appointment outcome report.
Uh-huh.
In addition, though, we wanted to make it easy on our agents. So at 2 hours, 4 hours, and 6 hours past the appointment, you got an automated email saying, hey, Tyson, submit your notes, click here. And then you could do it from the convenience of your phone in your car because we have an app, a free mobile app that you can move along
Nice.
the different pipeline. The same you can do on your desktop version, you could do it from the convenience in your car. So our agents for the most part, got comfortable with leaving an appointment, popping open the Tyson lead, saying, I'm ready to submit my outcome notes, type it up, hit save, and then it emails the entire leadership team a summary of like post appointment for 123 Main Street.
Uh,
Tyson signed it. Cool, awesome, he signed it. And then it would also include marketing info of what we're doing with that $2 million house. So we set it up to say, okay, we're going to do, drone, Matador, uh, video, nighttime, this, that. And then our marketing team would get it instantaneously. So
nice.
they were made aware of a new listing getting signed immediately. And then they got to work instead of waiting for you to come back to the office and say, hey, marketing meeting. I just signed this listing. We're going to do this, 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 but don't do that before this. You just fill out the form, hit save, and it gets emailed to them two
Wow.
seconds after. So just little things like that, like,
Yeah.
that's an hour-long meeting that we just, avoided because
Right.
we just automated that.
Yeah. No, that is so awesome, man. You guys have really crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's when it comes to this software. Now, from my head, I'm thinking of it in more of terms of like, it's super hard to communicate all that, and I'm speaking, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it might be super hard for you to communicate all of the amazing things that your software Billions can actually do for real estate teams. I know you mentioned that you've got your own podcast, which I've definitely checked out before our podcast here, and you also are starting to post content about the different things that, Billions can do. Other than that, how are you guys, letting, I know you mentioned as well that that's kind of like your job at this point is to let more people know about what you guys do. Are you guys doing any kind of like webinars, workshops, or, networking events where you're kind of bringing awareness to Billions?
Yeah, I mean, that is really hard to do, right? The first, I'll kind of take this in two parts. To the first part around educating people and making them aware of Billions is step
Yeah.
one. Step two is how to properly message or articulate the different functions in a smart way, right? So people can understand it. It's crystal clear.
Yeah.
I'll do a quick plug for our new website, joinbillions.com. It's version 2.0. Our first website was a starter website. Now we just came out with this new one. Hopefully that'll get a lot more information out there that people can, peruse on their own and figure out like, hey, I have an appointment management problem. There's a section for that. So we're trying to figure out creative ways, smart ways, and easy ways for people to understand what it can do. One of the biggest things is like there's so much that I need to focus on the main parts, I think. So we
Mhm.
kind of talked about like the high level, like get rid of software, have a system that's already built. But one of the biggest things for our current customers and users is like, hey, Andrew, can Billions do this? And I'm like, yeah, it already does. They're like, oh, I had no idea. So I'm also trying to educate our current users because they don't know what they don't know
Yeah.
unless I'm proactively telling them. So that's one of the things we're improving upon, where we're coming out with new training videos all the time, but I want to proactively get that out to the world and to our users so they know, hey, this is something that you can use, and maybe it's something that saves them
Yeah.
10 hours a month doing that they didn't know, and it was at their disposal. So that's really hard, but that's trial and error. Again,
Yeah.
we're seeing what sticks. So that's number one. Number two is about 82% of our current customer base comes from referrals and affiliates from our current users. So we kind of started as like a word of mouth sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And when we got out of our beta program not too long ago, now we're trying to go to market and figure out like what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think webinars is a fantastic idea. I'm actually doing one on the 27th of March.
Okay.
It'll be our first like official one to kind of just bring to light like the need for tech and how you can help. Tech can help you free up your time to do other revenue generating activities or
Yeah.
spend time with your family, right? Like generating revenue is number one for the business,
Yeah.
but instead of having to come back, Tyson, and like put in notes or update call logs, Billions does that for you automatically. So you don't have
Wow.
to come back to the office ever. You just make a phone call from your phone. It shows up in Billions. It records it and transcribes a summary for you automatically. Tracks, +1 call from Tyson, and then you can go have dinner with your family. You can go to the soccer game, whatever you're going to do in your personal life. So it's just buying back your time principles.
Yeah, I love that. That is super awesome. So you've got a webinar coming up on March 27th. Is there more information about that on your guys' website? Because I'm going to link your website, the new one, to the description of
It'll be
this.
coming out next week. Will be sure. I'll send you an invite, and then you can get that.
Okay.
That would be great, though.
Awesome.
I'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, it's going to be at I think 4 p.m. Eastern on the Thursday, the 27th.
Awesome. That's exciting, man. Yeah. See, that's something that I didn't even, even though I know that, Billions is a software company for real estate teams, not realizing that, it's got the capabilities to be able to, take calls, record the transcript, save it into your CRM. Some people have parts of that solution, but for it to kind of all just streamline is super awesome. So it'll
Yeah,
be cool to see you guys start covering stuff like that.
yeah. I That's kind of what we try to accomplish with Billions specifically
Mhm.
is your day-to-day operations should be housed, in my opinion, from living through the frustrations of having it housed everywhere to
Yeah.
being housed in what we like to call the source of truth or the source record, where all calls inbound and outbound, all texts inbound and outbound, all
Mhm.
emails inbound and outbound, all direct mail outbound, all document management, all dates, deadlines, calendars, etc., are all inside of Billions. So
Nice.
it also makes it incredibly organized. So it's a little bit of a change for a lot of our users, right? But conceptually, if you sign a listing and I need the paperwork, without something like that, you're like, is it in Dropbox? Is it in your email? I need a copy of the listing agreement to do whatever with. In Billions, you go to the agreement, you go to the file management system, and it's in there. And
Wow.
you can even send e-signature right from Billions. So you don't even have to leave Billions to send like a listing agreement or disclosures or a contract to get ratified. So that's the idea. Everything inside and outside, inside of inbound outbound communication
Mhm.
goes through Billions, and
Nice.
then it just kind of streamlines it and makes it incredibly stress free, risk free on people. Because
Yeah.
once you learn it, that's it's the same thing over and over. Oh, that's one thing.
Mhm.
Um, that is really kind of helpful for people and for you to know. There's one way to do things and one way only in terms of progressing a lead. So once you learn it, that's it. You've learned the system. And then
Mhm.
all that automation I just described happens on the back end. And it's kind of like do you like invest in retirement or like have, automatic deposits into an S&P 500 fund? You
Yep.
kind of get the concept of you have a bank account, you go to a brokerage and you say, I want to start buying. And then you go to recurring transactions, $50 every 2 weeks. Boom, boom, boom. You set it and forget it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Billions is. All that automation is on the back end in our engine called Billions Connect.
Uh-huh.
Say, hey, when this form gets submitted, I want to get the email. When that form gets submitted, Tyson and Andrew want to get the email. When this date gets populated, put it on my calendar. When that date gets populated, put it on Tyson and mine, and then remind us 7 days before. Okay,
Nice.
boom, it's set up. Now you move along. You say, appointment, there's a form. Listing, there's a form, all the way through closed. So all
Wow.
that stuff is happening. So you don't have to worry about doing any of that. Once, and then you can go in and change it at any time. Say Tyson no longer wants to get, post appointment forms.
Yeah.
Okay, take them off. Next time it gets submitted, you're not on it and you don't get it.
That's awesome. And so, yeah, I know you mentioned like, when users access and they actually end up going forward with Billions, they get access to about 95% of the full entire setup of everything that you guys have, and what from your experience of 10 years in real estate beforehand that's helped you guys. And so do you guys, I guess my question is, do you guys offer, some type of consulting services, or maybe like a little bit of a done for you aspect for that extra 5% that they might want help on how to do, but they don't have time to do it?
Yeah, of course. So let me just say one thing also. When we have a brand new customer, we white glove our onboarding. So we ask very little homework of you as a new team user of Billions. We basically white glove concierge onboard people. So Tyson, let's pretend you have a 10-person team.
Mhm.
You get like a, welcome to Billions email. Here's your org, here's your username, here's your temporary password.
Nice.
Oh, by the way, click this form. We need all this info. Who are your teammates? What are their names? What are their numbers? What are their emails? Where are their headshots? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
What permissions do you want? Because we also come with a hierarchy of built out team permissions already. So
Nice.
certain permissions have certain visibility into certain data pieces or parts of Billions that it's customizable as well. So you say, here's my 10 people, here's what each of them are going to be doing, and then we create all that for you. We can do data migrations to take your info wherever your data records are from, if they're on spreadsheets or if they're in another platform, we will extract them, clean them up, get them into Billions. We train your team, and then we deliver, and then we say, hey, who Tyson on your team is going to need a phone number, a dialer? Who wants to connect their email so they're bi-directionally synced, their calendar? Do you want direct mail? Do you want e-signature? Do you want this? Do you want that? There are different versions of things you can do. And then we
Nice.
say, and obviously, like in between that time, we ask you questions to get specifics if we don't know. And then we deliver it to you and it's in working order from day one.
Wow.
And then on the back end of that, Tyson, if someone wants to make an amendment or a change, if it's little, we'll just do it. If it's a customized project, there's a few options. You can do it yourself if you know how to do it, right? You can hire your own developer on your own, or we have a development team. You can buy, it's called a managed service package, that you buy a bucket of hours, and you submit a ticket, it goes off of your hours, and then we complete it for you. Or if it's a really big project, we'll bring in our really big development team, who, smarter people on that team than I am. But if you're doing like a recruiting app inside of Billions, for example, we'll get requirements. We'll say, what do you want this to do? Tell us the end resolve, and then we'll put it together an economic scope of work in SOW to say, hey, it's going to be this investment one time, take us 2.5 weeks, but this is what you'll have. And then the really awesome part is it's theirs forever, right?
Wow.
So this is a broker agnostic platform as well. So if you go to some brokerages, they give you a CRM, that's cool. But if you leave, you can't take it with them, right? And some actually make it very hard to get your records out of it. So with Billions, you can be at this brokerage and then move your team and then go to that brokerage and then, invest in whatever customization, and then it's yours. It's an asset. So it's always going to be yours. It's always going to be wherever you are, you can take it with you, which is really beneficial. A lot of people, it's kind of funny, and I was the same. Like at one point, I used a broker CRM, and then I was like, oh my gosh, if I put a dime into this and I leave, I have no choice but to throw it away. Or, I don't want to be stuck at a brokerage that I'm unhappy with or want to make a change
Right.
because of my tech stack being at that brokerage.
Right. and then you lose everything from then on. But no, I love it. Thank you for giving that, high level breakdown of exactly how, now that that answered my question, how are you guys driving value to the real estate space and bringing value to the market? You clearly have a solution for people at every level in the real estate teams, teams of 5 people and less, all the way up to, sounds like, highly customized, full scale real estate operations. Like if it needed it, you guys would be able to handle it, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's another advantageous part of the platform. So we have teams of 5, we have teams of 20, we have a 74-person team, we have a 100+ person team
Wow.
that sets hundreds of appointments a month, does close to 1,000 deals, and then we have a 5-person team that sets a few appointments a month. But
Nice.
it's built for scale from the start. So whether you're a smaller team with ambitions and goals and dreams of building out the team, you don't have to switch platforms.
Nice.
I'll give you one example. We have a customer in Billions in Boston. They were in Boston. They had 14 people on the team. Now they have 74 people on their team, and they're in six different geographic markets across the United States.
Wow.
But what we did is they got with our team and said, hey, we need to kind of put a hub filter on Billions, right?
Mhm.
So typically in a normal team, to start at least, you're like, I'm in Washington, D.C., I do business in D.C. But
Yep.
for people who have bigger, goals and dreams and stuff, they're like, I want to be in Miami, I want to be in Texas, I want to be in California. So we essentially took Billions and then layered on a filter that said region or location. And then they could say, how's our California, business doing? How's our Boston business doing? Let's filter out those 6 different locations, or writ large, cumulatively, how are we doing? Where's our money coming from? Oh, California is doing 38% more than Boston, or whatever the case may be. But they didn't have to change platforms. They had
Wow.
to invest in that, right? But
Yeah.
now it's their investment and it works and it does what they want it to do specific to them. So that's the level of like, we can handle smaller businesses and teams. But if you grow, you're not going to say, "Oh man, if I get to 30, I'm going to have to go find a different solution."
Right.
Just stay on Billions, build it out. We can help you build it out in a very smart way.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's usually the case. Once you get to, from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, you've always have to switch softwares and platforms. So the fact that they from 14 all the way up to upwards of 70 plus
Yeah.
team members, that is super awesome. And I just want to ask you, a few couple last questions here. And one of those is, what are some of your main goals for Billions in the next 12 months in relation to growth? Like, is there a specific, maybe team member count that you want to be at, or I guess where do you guys want, or where do you see yourself growing in the next 12 months?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. We're a startup, so we're relatively new. I would love to have 100 teams. Like that's one of our first milestones to get to. So we're working our way up there. That would be awesome. Getting to that milestone would be a significant achievement for the entire Billions team. In terms of growth, that's where we would like to go. Also, just building the internal team.
Mm.
Right now, it's a very small team, but we know that eventually, leverage other people's talents. So we need marketing, we need sales, we need SDRs,
Yeah.
so salespeople. So that's also on the roadmap, so to say, for our internal growth, as well as the roadmap for productizing different feature sets. We have different things we want to come out with. So there's growth in the product, growth in the team, ultimately, hopefully, growth in the entire company.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you mentioned your business partner handles a lot of the growth when it comes to like sales and on that side of things. And then you've kind of been tasked with making sure Billions does everything that you've described in this podcast, right?
Yeah,
That's kind of the structure of.
yeah. Well, my business partner is doing sales on our sales team, our real estate sales team.
Ah, nice.
I am responsible right today
Yeah.
for marketing and sales, but we're also looking to bring on more, talented team members to help with marketing, to help with sales, and grow out that internal to Billions.
Yeah. No, that's so awesome, man. It's like you can provide opportunities for people to work with you, but also to, even make a profit in some cases with the affiliate program that you have and that you guys are offering. So where can people reach out to if I'm somebody who wants to reach out to Andrew, maybe I want to work with you, I want to learn more about Billions and about Brighter, what would be the best platform or the best place for them to reach you?
Email probably is the easiest, Andrew at joinbillions.com, or our website, joinbillions.com. There's a lot of great info on there. You can schedule a demo with me, or just shoot me an email and I'm happy to chat. We do offer free tech evaluations to see where you are, and then see, what issues you're having. And if we're a good fit, awesome. If not, at least we can point somebody in the right direction to make their current tech stack more, more efficient for their team and their situation.
That's huge. Yeah, man. If you guys have any kind of questions, Andrew's definitely the real deal. I hope you guys really listen to everything that he said in this podcast. I appreciate you sharing all of your insights, Andrew. You guys are definitely going to go to the moon in the next couple of years. I can just tell by the way you guys have everything laid out. So, yeah, man, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the vote of confidence there. So we're trying our hardest. We have a lot of, stuff to do, and we have big dreams for Billions as well. So appreciate you having me on. This was really fun.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andrew.